Before we begin the process of designing a cover, it's always a good idea to do research to find out what covers are already out there, what makes them appealing, what makes them not so appealing, which ones are selling the best, and to just get a general idea of the design practices and the design theory that a lot of these authors are using. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these are maybe actual authors who are writing their books and having their covers produced by a publishing company. Others are publishers who are either having their books ghostwritten or writing them themselves and getting the covers done on Fiverr or somewhere inexpensively. So the point there is you're not going to see great design theory in these covers. You're basically going to see the same formula over and over. And if you've been publishing a while, you know what that formula is. You know what makes a cover appealing and what makes a cover not so appealing. But it's always a good idea to take a look at what is out there now and why it's catching the eye of the customer, because there is a lot of truth in the old statement, you can't judge a book by its cover. But a lot of people do. They will look at that cover first. If the cover catches their eye, then they will look at the title and the description to see if it's something they want to read. But you have to catch their eye. So what I wanted to do is just take a couple of minutes to show you how to do this research. And you may already know how to do this. If you do, great. If not, it's really not that difficult. What we want to do is go out and look at some of the covers that are already in the marketplace, mainly covers that are going to be in your genre. For example, the page that we're looking at now, this is a billionaire romance genre. This is an author, Sarah Brooks, and her books are primarily, she writes series, she writes standalones, but they are in the billionaire romance genre. And you can see with her covers, I recognize most of these images. They're just stock images, but she uses the same design theory really on all of her books. They all look very similar. You can see she's using the exact same image. She is just giving it a different series. For example, each one of these says best-selling author Sarah J. Brooks, The Billionaire's Hunt. Took me a minute to figure out what that was. But then it has a different name. This is Victoria. This is Lauren. This is Emily. So it is the exact same cover. The only thing that she is changing is, I assume, the name of the girl that is in the billionaire's bed this week. So keep that in mind. If you are doing series, you can use the same image. I like using similar images. The problem is with this, if I didn't look closely, I wouldn't know that these are two different books because they are exactly the same except for that little bitty name right there. Now, this is different, the same kind of look, the same grayscale, the same red tints, that sort of thing. Let's scroll over and see what else she has. All right, now see, that's completely different. That doesn't even look like one of her books. So from a branding standpoint, I'm going to assume that may not be one of these series, or perhaps it's an earlier book that she did before she started doing the series. But other than that, and yes, you can see she uses the exact same image over and over and over, but she is selling a ton of books, and so it must work for her. I assume that what she's looking at, or why she's doing this, is her fans, the people that are always are already have made her a best-selling author. They know her books on sight, and they'll just read to find out the difference. The storm grows, the storm comes, the storm succeeds. So that's fine once you have a brand established, but going right out there and doing this, I believe you need to make your covers at least somewhat different, or you may lose some sales. But again, that's up to you. She does a great job of selling books. Obviously, she's got 74 books here, and she's on top of the billionaire romance list. So kudos to her. So the point there is you don't have to spend a ton of money on images. If you find an image and a design that works well for you, and then you can just change up the font, which is really easy to do. Fonts are free. They don't, well, most fonts are free. I've never paid for a font, and I don't think you should either. But again, she has lots of different books. And then the shirtless guy is the old standby. So let's look at another one. And this is a paranormal romance author. She's got a number of books here, and you can see her book covers are similar in design theory, but different in look. You can see, and again, I recognize all of these models. you can see what she's doing. It's a very formulaic design. You've got a bare-chested, muscled man. This is a dragon book, so there's some fire. There's a bear back there. He's in the woods. So you look at the design of these books and think, okay, if these are working, if this person is selling a ton of books and Sky Winter sells a ton of books, there must be something here. So you can see they all follow the same formula though. Hunky man, this one's about a bear baby. There's a wolf back there. So if these covers are working for these authors, it's probably a good design to adopt for your books. But again, the reason we're doing this is to see what is out there, what is really being noticed by readers, and what's selling. So you're always going to see kind of the same thing. For example, T.S. Joyce is in the top 100 authors, and all of his or her, no one really knows if T.S. Joyce is a male or female, I don't think. But if you look at the authors, again, there's the formula. The bare-chested man, he does shifter, romance, vampire type stuff. So you're going to have the woods in the background. Looks like a raven there. You've got the bare-chested man. It's, again, a very big formula, but you recognize those books. These covers are so easy to do. In fact, we're going to do one of these covers in this tutorial, so you'll be able to pretty much replicate one of these. Again, you've got woods in the background, you've got a bear, you've got a guy, and it's just a very layered look, but it has become the formula for these shifter books. And again, you can never have too many bare-chested, muscled men or bears. Next, let's take a look at a little bit of a clean romance. Now, you would think these are the covers here very greatly, which they do. You're not going to see a lot of bare-chested men. The design theory, though, is pretty much the same. It's a formula. For example, Faith Parsons, she's a good example of this on her mail-order bride books. Again, these are clean Western romances. She always has a squeaky clean girl. Maybe a cowboy in the background, maybe some trees, or this is snow. Her titles really dominate the look of her books, and she always brands the same at the bottom. So she does have somewhat of a brand going with her design. Now, these are completely different. I'm going to assume that these were earlier books because they are very different, or she has changed her design theory and these are brand new books. But if you are doing clean mail order bride, it's always best to have a clean mail order bride, a nice looking innocent girl with either a dark background. You can do the sky, you can do a landscape. When I was doing these books, I would always use the same landscape in the background. I would just change up the model and the title. All right. Next, let's look at J.C. Reid. Now, J.C. Reid is an actual author, a New York Times best-selling author. Yet what I find interesting about her is her covers fit what publishers are doing, the ghost-written books and that sort of thing, but they obviously work. Again, it's a formula. You've got a bare-chested man, you've got a dark background. In her case, she's not doing much in the background. She's just kind of leaving it dark. Gray there. These covers are incredibly easy to do. I'm going to teach you how to do it. And again, this must have been before or after her string of other books because the design is different. One more thing I want to point out is the use of fonts. Now, typically a book cover will consist of a background that could be a solid color background or it could be an image, and then a primary image, in this case the gentleman here with no shirts on, and then the text or the fonts. And you can see you always have an author name, a book title, and sometimes you might have a tagline or a slogan, something like that. But look at the use of fonts. For example, on this book, Winning the Rancher's Heart, Mail Order Bride of Salvation, look at the different font. Now, this is all caps, capitalized. It is a serif font. And then this is a scripted font. So these are two very different fonts. Same way here. This is a kind of a serif font with a script, etc. You'll typically use the scripted font more for romance than you will anything else. If we look at T.S. Joyce's books, now she kind of all over the place, but it doesn't seem to matter because they're selling a ton of books. But give thought to the font. Now you can see here, Dragons Mate for Life. The word dragons is a script font, and then Mate for Life is a serif font. They've also put a gradient on this font. You can see it kind of goes from orange to yellow. Same here. This one has more of a chrome or a silver look to it. Now here they've kind of double Dragon Desire. They've got Dragon as a standard serif font and then scripted. Don't go crazy with the fonts. You can really turn your cover into a distracted work of art or a distracting work of art if you have too many fonts. 2, I think, is plenty. Now we go back over here. Sarah Brooks is using different fonts, although they're not scripts, but they are different. They're different weights. This one is a bold. You can see here she's using lowercase. So keep in mind when you are looking at these covers, pay attention to the fonts. Again, don't go crazy when you are coming up with your fonts. I would not use more than 2. I've always just used kind of 1. On my covers, just one particular font style, but I would do like a bold. I would also vary the colors. So keep in mind, part of the design theory is the font and the style of the font that you use on the covers of your books. The point of all this is you do the research again to see what the competition is doing, to see what is selling, and to determine how you want to design your books. Now, many of you are already publishers and you have books out there, so you have your design theory down. So this course will be a little easier for you because I'm going to teach you how to create the covers you're probably already doing in your genre. So whatever your genre is, whether it is erotica, whether it is paranormal, medieval, historical, Western, whatever, there is a design theory at play in cover design, and the way that you figure that out is to just go do some research on Amazon. Okay, so next we are going to get started. We are going to look at paranormal covers, and I'm going to show you how to design a cover that looks incredibly similar to this.